Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning, and you're looking live at PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. We got a good show. We got JC. We'll have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel join us. If you missed it last night, the Chiefs barely beat the Jets. Zach Wilson played very well, but the Chiefs continue to roll as well. If you missed it, also the Ryder Cup got destroyed. In the Ryder Cup, kind of how the Gators got destroyed in Lexington.
Yeah.
And some sad news, man. I didn't know I know he had cancer. Well, it just came out a few days ago, and then he passed away. Tim Wakefield, one of the greatest knuckleballs of all time, passed away.
Pitched for 30 years.
JC, good morning. You're on the Tight Number Hotline.
Yeah, that knuckleball kept Tim Wakefield in the league for decades. I mean, he was, gosh, it's just, it can happen at any time to anybody. It's just such a shame. Hate hearing that news. Tough weekend, dude. I mean, tough weekend for our picks, tough weekend for my house locks. I'm now a homeless person.
Yeah, you're homeless. You lost both houses, JC.
I'm renting this. This is
Are you moving out right now?
Yeah,
are the moving trucks there?
I'm in the process.
2 men in a truck or whatever.
Getting the boxes loaded up. I don't know, dude, man. This team, it's kind of same thing we saw a month ago. It's kind of like it's kind of like crack. They make you believe in things that aren't true. The Gators' problem is that, like I think we talked about before the show, you fall behind. And what are you going to do about it? Can you do anything about it? And so part of my criticism here will extend to maybe some of the fans were right when they were unhappy with the second half against Tennessee, when they were unhappy with the second half against Charlotte, and they're kicking field goals all damn day instead of trying to do something. Because if you have to do something and you can't do it because you fall behind, maybe you should have worked on it when you had the chance to work on it. Second half versus Tennessee, they get 3 points. They didn't even try to score, it seemed like. Second half against Charlotte, 6 points. So, if Florida's not going to try to throw the ball more, try to be more aggressive, then why do you think they will be able to when they have to be? And when you fall behind by 23 points, you can throw the playbook out the door. You got to start getting aggressive. At least try to do something. I think they did. I mean, Mertz was 25-30. Wasn't bad. But, my God, what happened to the defense? What happened to the running game? All of these things have to be evaluated. I really think.
Yeah, and I'll say this till I die. We're a better throwing football team than we are a running football team. I know everybody talks about they want to establish the run because we got 2 good running backs. I get it. But if you do that and you fall behind, you're done. You're done. You're done. You have to. And I've said this, I don't care. I will argue with anybody in the world about this. They worry about Graham Mertz's dinking and dunking. Okay, if he doesn't dink and dunk and throw completions, we may never get a first down, people.
Yeah.
I mean, I thought he played his best game Saturday. He was under enormous pressure. He took a beating.
Running for his life.
But the bottom line is, and like I said, I'm so exhausted at talking about it. And it's my philosophy, whether it's right or wrong, it's my beliefs.
Yeah.
That we have really good wide receivers and we have a really good quarterback. I know the protection is not great, but if you have a really good passing attack with concepts, this quarterback get the ball out of his hands and boom, throw completions. And yes, I had people telling me, well, he missed a couple people open early in the game. Well, I'd be damned. I think I saw Pat Mahomes miss some dudes last night that were open. It happens. The bottom line is
25-30.
You have to throw the football. And I don't want to hear about protection. He's going to get hit. He's going to be under duress. But you can't wait to throw the football until you're down 14, 21 points. Yeah. That's the bottom line.
Right. And you're not going to win these games kicking field goals in games. Look, the thing
we didn't kick any field goals the other day, JC.
I'm saying in the prior games. You're right. In prior games, though, when you're comfortably ahead of Tennessee, why don't you just try to put 49 on them? Throw it up get going. Now, listen, I know you can protect leads and take care of the game plan changes during the course of the game, but 6 points against Charlotte in the second half, they should have been working on things that they might have needed to try to do in a game where there's a lot more pressure. And excuse me, I did not know Sean Alexander showed up in Lexington, but 206 points for Ray Davis, 206 yards. I said points. It might have been point. 206 yards for Ray Davis. We hadn't even talked about Ray Davis since they played Vandy the week before, and I think I mentioned him one time last week, Ray Davis's name, and he goes for 280 on 26 carries. That's 11 yards a carry. My
JC, I firmly believe if you were at tailback, you could have rushed over 100 yards.
Yeah.
Because sometimes those holes were so big, there was nobody there.
It was Emmitt Smith time in Dallas. It just was. Sean Alexander. I mean, just unbelievable holes. You were right. They're very physical, Kentucky. They'll give Georgia a good game this weekend in Athens. There's no question about it. Georgia was really on the ropes. Brock Bauer bailed them out against Auburn. Auburn is a one-dimensional team, and Georgia was on the ropes. So, again, Kentucky is showing us right now that their program is above Florida's right now. They've won 4 out of the last 6. And that's all you got to say. That's all there is to it. There's no discussion. I mean, that's the truth. So, this is unfortunate. This is not fun, and this is a shame because now 3-2, and I was really, really thinking that they would go in and win this game. But
I did too. All right, we got a ton of text to get here. Daryl says, good morning, guys. Shane, you had mentioned on the broadcast, Sarah, that we could take advantage of their secondary with our receivers. Why didn't we take more shots down the field? Good question. If y'all had a camera, if they had a camera in our booth, you would see me pointing at which side I would be throwing it and they did when they threw the deep ball to Caleb Douglas down to the 1 yard line. Mm-hmm. There's all this green grass and they're playing in man coverage. I just don't get it. Don't get it.
He's wide open.
But we're a run football team, and people want to run the football. I think it's dumb as hell to try to run the football. I do. I really do.
Well, yeah. I mean, if you can't protect, and if you're not,
but see, protection. If you have a good, solid, and a intelligent quarterback, you can get away, and you can keep your tight end in to block sometimes. Mm-hmm. Still to this day, we have not run 4 wide receivers.
All right.
2 years.
Why does somebody ask him that?
I'm
tired of hearing this crap about it's not my offense. Well, start adapting. You know what good coaches do? They adapt. When Texas A&M beat Alabama on Johnny Manziel's greatest game of all time, it wasn't much longer after that Nick Saban changed his offense. And he brought in some guys that could change things. They have to be able to adapt. Now, I know it's his second year, but my God, I think we've seen what we've seen. And if it's not going to change, then you're looking at 6 wins. It's got to change. You've got to do some different things. And then on defense, that's an attitude, dude. I thought we had this Austin Armstrong had this under control. Physically, they got beat up and down the damn field. And
we got. If this isn't just play calling, the defense was manhandled. Alan in Atlanta on the Titan Our text line says we stink, poor coaching, poor play calling. Down 3 scores and act like we're running time off the clock. No urgency. This is a major setback.
Running time off the clock.
Yeah. Josh from Mississippi says, QB, I'm just at a loss of words after this weekend. I don't expect us to contend. I do believe we had an 8-win team, but my gosh, this weekend really made me think we can win 7. Your thought? I mean, look, I still don't have a problem. I still can think they can win 7 or 8 games. However, the reason I picked that is because what I saw in the summertime, I saw us throwing it all around the damn practice field. And I'm like, this team is going to score points.
It's not out of the realm of possibility, even with that game.
It's not. But again, JC, you just the thing that bothers me is we are so conservative. And I understand you have to be conservative at times. But if I'm going to lose a football game, I'm going to lose it with my best player trying to throw the football around the field.
And being aggressive. Yeah, lose trying to be aggressive. That's correct. And I don't understand it. That's why I don't understand when you got Tennessee beaten, battered, and bruised, you put the foot on their neck and you.
Well, I'm not worried about that. We won the game. We won that game.
I know, but QB, it's like this. If you don't work on it when you can, what makes you think you're going to be able to do it when you have to? And that's the only problem I got. Game conditions, right? You want to do this not in practice. You want to do this on Charlotte. You want to do this on Tennessee. And they didn't try in the second half of those games.
All right.
They basically said everybody go home at halftime.
Here's a really good text on the Titan No More text line. And I'm going to try to get to these other. We got a million here.
All right.
Tommy says, Muschamp was brought in to rebuild a broken program. McElwain's brought in to fix a broken offense, and after 2 years, the wheels came off. Mullen was brought in to put out the dumpster fire of McElwain and right the ship. Now Napier's here because Mullen wasn't doing the work required. 12 years of rebuilding. When is the foundation finished, and when we start building the new superstructure? I was thinking about this, JC.
Yeah.
And I would like, I don't know the age demographics of people that listen to our program.
Yeah.
And I don't know a whole lot about Florida football history, quite honestly, because I was an Ole Miss Rebel until I came here in 1988.
Yep.
So outside of the 84, 85 teams, the Spurrier era, and the 6 years of Urban Meyer, I feel like Florida football is going to be, for the rest of our lives, what it was before the Steve Spurrier era.
Well, that's
because you add all that up, you're only looking at like 21 years of dominant football of how many years they've been playing? Well over 100.
Yeah.
So I think realistically, maybe we are just that pro. I don't know.
Well, QB, here's the thing: if all those things that texter from, who was it? I'm sorry, I didn't get his name.
It was Tommy. I don't know where he's from.
What Tommy said, though, I think shows a bigger problem, and the bigger problem is those guys who were hired were not Florida's first choice, except Muschamp. He was the coach in waiting that Jeremy wanted, and so Jeremy took him from Texas because he was the hot name that was going to replace Mac Brown. But McElwain wasn't his first pick. Mullen was definitely, I don't think he was Scott Strickland's first pick. It was Chip Kelly or somebody like that, wasn't it? So it's like they're not getting the guys they really wanted initially. They almost had to settle for these guys when they hired them. And that's the bigger problem. And that goes back to, well, what is this job? Is this a premier elite job, or is this just another middle of the road kind of conference job? You're saying, well, 21 years of dominance should make you an elite job. But then why aren't they getting the first guy they want? They didn't get Chip Kelly. They wanted him, but they didn't get him. So that's where I think, that's why Billy's.
No, but what I'm saying is people who grew up or really started following the Gators, say in 1990 through when Urban left.
Yeah, right before you got here.
Florida football is one of the top 5 programs minimum in the country in those 18, 19 years.
Yeah.
Out of the other freaking 100-something years of football, it's been what we've kind of seen right now, I would assume.
Yeah. No, that's
I'm just asking. I mean, you grew up here. You grew up watching it, JC.
So Florida Field was a fun game to go to watch football like it is today. But back then, you didn't have those expectations because you hadn't seen it before. Once folks start to see what happens and what can happen, once Steve Spurrier came here, it changed everything. And yes, the middle 80s teams were as good as anybody in the country. That 84 and 85 team, they sure as hell were. But Charlie Pell's problem was he had too many rules to try to play within, and he couldn't do it the way he wanted to or the way the NCAA said he should have. The problem is that 7-5 was reality in the 70s, and I don't want that to be the case today. And that's fun because you show up and you don't have these expectations. My God, if we lose to Auburn, right? Oh, well, maybe we'll beat Auburn. But it was Mississippi State back then in the 70s, dude. The expectation level was not there. Now that the expectation level has gone parabolic because of 2 guys, Meyer and Spurrier, well, we can't put up with this Kentucky rough-riding Florida up and down the field. That's just hard to deal with.
On YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Cruz Smitty says, Florida sucked before Spurrier. He also says, we are a 6 or 7 win program. And he says, remember Charlie, I think he's talking about Charlie Pell's 3 yards in a cloud of dust. I mean, that's how football was played back then. But that's kind of what we're doing now.
But Kerwin Bell threw the ball to Ricky Nattiel up and down the damn field, okay? And Wes Chandler was one of the greatest wide receivers to ever play college football. He had nobody throwing it to him. It still made unbelievable plays. So there were exceptions. Kerwin Bell was a passer, the throwing May Owen in the 80s, man. They were great. We were excited. We beat Auburn and Georgia back-to-back. That was unheard of before Kerwin Bell. Unheard of.
Brent on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, says, have we ever had an AD that's put football first? People praise Jeremy, but he didn't hire Urban. He didn't hire Spurrier either.
I know. Robert Bryant hired Spurrier, and basically Bernie Matchett hired Urban. So Jeremy's best hire was Billy Donovan. Billy Donovan was Jeremy's best hire.
I thought you froze up for a minute there. I was like,
no,
damn it, AT&T.
No. I don't know. Tell me who Jeremy's best football hire was when we know that Spurrier was hired by Robert Bryant and Bernie Matchett basically brought Urban over here. Bernie Matchett didn't even want Spurrier back. And Spurrier was interested. He was. But the thing is that Urban did okay, right? He did okay, and then after 5 years, he had enough. He couldn't take it. But
Nora says Emmett was before Steve Spurrier. Well, yeah, Emmett's teams won 7 games every year.
That was Galen Hall, Whitey Jordan. Yeah, they were. I mean, they beat Alabama and Birmingham like it was a crime when Emmett.
But my point to the story is those were 6 and 7, 8 win teams every year.
8, every year. They had no offensive concept.
That'd be a great year. People would be happy.
Listen, those Gary Darnell defenses were unbelievable. That Steve Spurrier offense, though, was a little bit more fun to watch. And Florida did not suck before Spurrier in 84 and 85. They were the best team in the country.
I included those two teams.
But the texture.
Do we need to clean your ears out?
But no, I'm listening to what your text guy just said. The text just said they sucked before Spurrier. They did not in 84 and 85.
All right, so we got Greg from Fort Myers on the Titan on Texas.
You ever heard of Wilbur Marshall? You ever heard of John L. Williams? How about
we ain't got none of them dudes running around.
You ever heard Jeff
Did not see our defensive line getting manhood taken away from them last Saturday. I have to dial down my expectation. I was shocked too, Greg. Give Kentucky credit. They blocked the crap out of us. Our gap control was terrible. And that's when you see people running through the line of scrimmage with nobody touching, you're getting your ass handed to you, and your gap integrity you're not doing what you're supposed to do.
That's right.
All right.
And guess what? Bad news is there's some physical teams on the schedule still.
All right. This is from Mark. He says, I feel like I have been sent back to 2012, except this time the Gator head coach is not Muschamp, but former Gator offensive coordinator Brent Peace. Muschamp is not running the defense, but instead Armstrong. The similarities between Napier and Peace offenses are frightening. Shift and motions you to death just to run 3 yards in a cloud of dust. Very little vertical. Your thoughts? I agree.
Yeah.
I agree. Okay, Chris from Cottondale. I don't know why we need to worry about scoring 4 down in Tennessee. Just get the win. Charlotte, which I was at the game, was inexcusable. Shane, why does every pass play have to have play action or off the boot? Why can't we drop straight back and throw a hitch or a slant or dig or post or a fade? Play action on 3rd and 18. Don't know the answer to that. Late in the game, we did just throw hitches and out routes to Andy Jean. We got it out of our hands. I can't answer that.
Well, I think he just missed my whole point. I mean, he just didn't get my point. My point was the Chris from Cottondale. If you don't work on it when you can, then don't expect to do it if you can't. And that's when you fall behind 23-0. And that's what happened Saturday. So I don't know why this is so damn hard to understand. 3 points in the second half against Tennessee. Let me ask you something. You think Coach Spurrier would have been happy in the locker room after that Tennessee? I know you don't want to go back to this QB, but this is what the fans are talking about, and they're right.
Right, but I do another podcast with Coach Spurrier. We talked about the Tennessee game. He said when one time we got down there, we were very conservative to kick a field goal to put you up 3 scores. He had no problem with that. He said he used to run the clock out as well. It depends on the situation, who you're playing, things of that nature. Look, I don't give the Tennessee game is over with. The Charlotte game is over with. If we're going to win games, we have to throw the football. I know everybody sits here and wants to talk about giving the ball to Trevor Etienne. I understand.
They're not doing it, though. They're not doing it. Why aren't they doing it? I know.
Well, that's why I told you that I was done discussing it outside of my show because we're wasting. It's no different than when you sit here and bitch and complain about politics. There ain't a damn thing you can do about it. Van Der says, Shane, did you notice how many times that Mertz rolled out of the pocket today? He did leave the pocket a couple of times too soon, and he's got a bad habit of rolling right. Now, he's made some good plays going that way. A few times he rolled left, he got sacked. But yes, he did leave the pocket a couple of times too soon. But so I did that one year. I don't call it gun shy, but when you're seeing flashes of different colors in your peripheral vision, it kind of automatically makes you get outside the pocket. All right, Rooster on YouTube Brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Says QB is that we don't have these types of vertical passing plays in the play. Yes, we have them. That's why I got so damn excited in the summertime, people. Do we practice them or they aren't called during the game? We practice them.
And they aren't called during the game.
Correct.
Okay. So I'm glad we practiced.
Well, they do. I mean, okay, the deep crossing route we practice, and that is called at least 5 times a game. We hit it for a touchdown to Ricky Pearsall. So anyway, all right, this is from the 770 area code, Gary. Will Napier change his coaching style? I don't think you're going to see it this year at all. Everybody wants him to hire offensive coordinator. You can't hire it in the middle of the damn season because they don't have anybody else that has. I think Russ Callaway, the tight end coach, called plays one year at Samford, which they throw it a lot. But I don't know if that's going to happen or not. Let's see here. Andy says, Shane, what do you think of Mert's pocket presence? Can it be taught? I think his pocket presence is outstanding, quite honestly. I mean, he moved around the pocket. The touchdown that he threw to Ricky Pearsall, he avoided a couple guys, slid up, ran up in the pocket, made a really good throw. Look, y'all know how I feel about him. I think he's an outstanding quarterback. He's just not. We're not utilizing him the way I thought we would. Zach on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says, Shane, did Kiffin putting up 55 on LSU impress you? The Gators need some electric offense. I mean, not necessarily. LSU has given up a lot of points this year. A lot.
Yeah.
Both of those defenses were horrible. I will say this. Both of those two quarterbacks were phenomenal in that game. Jalen Daniels only threw like three or four incompletions and just threw dimes and made plays with his legs. It was a fun game to watch. Just a great game to watch. LSU had some crucial errors at the end of that game when they took the lead, I think by 8. Then they kicked the damn ball out of bounds on the kickoff. So Buck says we got to give credit to the UK defense. Yeah, we knew Kentucky's very well coached. Very, very well coached.
They're going to give Georgia fits Saturday. I think
they will.
Gonna be close. That's going to be a close game.
Now, I will tell you this. If Devin Leary doesn't play better, they will not have a chance against Georgia. He played awful. And he was like 9 of like 20-something. Should have had pick 6. Jason Marshall dropped it.
Yeah, but his numbers weren't great. That's true. But Ray Davis is all they needed, man.
I mean, but what I'm saying is you ain't going to be able to run the ball in Georgia like that.
Probably not.
Yeah, he's going to have to do something.
Let me tell you though, you didn't watch it, but Auburn ran the ball on him.
I watched the whole game, JC.
Well, Auburn. Did you see Auburn's ground game? I mean,
it was quarterback runs up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Devin Leary can do that. I think Devin Leary can do that. I think he can do that.
You do?
Devin Leary can run. No,
not like freaking those two guys Auburn has. Radware is a family-owned business that prides itself in excellent customer service while providing quality and affordable promotional products and customized apparel. We got JC here on the Titan Tomorrow hotline. And then we're going to have Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel get his thoughts. He was at the game. See if he's got anything for us from the press conference. Yeah. North Florida Bear says, it seems with all the RPO that this offense is designed to have a running QB. We're not calling any of the RPO stuff. That's the problem. RPO, remember, is not run. It is tailback run with the quarterback throwing it. You're thinking of read option. We're not calling any read option. RPO, hell, me and Danny could run RPO. They didn't have it back in those days. But you're reading one defender. If that guy flows, you pull it and throw it. There's no run. The running is involved with the tailback.
That's a run pass option.
Correct.
Yeah.
All right. Hang on. There was something else I wanted to talk about.
Well, while the
Ryder Cup, we sucked.
Oh my God. Well, that was over after day 1 first session. But clearly, when you evaluate what happened there, Zach Johnson's picks were abysmal. 2-9 at one point. 2-9 at one point. On the second day was their record with the captain's picks, 2-9. So
speaking of golf, I got to give a shout out. This polo I'm wearing, it's from former Gator pro golfer Matt Every, who actually won Bay Hill a couple times, right?
He sure did.
He's got a clothing line called Live Forever Golf. He sent me this polo. It says Florida Man, and I got another one that says got another one that says Gaines Vegas. So go check them out. We're going to have him on. It's Live Forever Golf. Good stuff.
Dude, our picks were miserable.
Just a miserable weekend, JC.
Well, that Duke game broke my heart. I mean, they had it under control. Sam Hartman converts a 4th and 16, and Riley Leonard gets hurt on the last minute of the game. That 6 should have covered, didn't. And then LSU, laying 2.5, couldn't keep Ole Miss out of the end zone. That's LSU. They never fooled me, but for some reason they did last weekend for about a day and a half. And then you went you went 1-11.
I feel like Zach Johnson,
1-11.
Billy Napier, and everybody else.
You went 1-11. You did take Alabama, and I went 4-8.
You didn't even take your school.
I know I'm a loser. And then I went 4-8. You went 1-11. I did take Auburn though, unbelievable. And we got suckered into teams like Nebraska and South Carolina. I took Colorado; they somehow covered. But on the year, 31-25 for me, 22-35 for you. So
I'm cashing it in. Andy on Facebook Live says, Shane, it was great to hear the announcers on the Bears-Broncos game talk about you and your all-time Bears record of consecutive completion. Sad to see Justin Fields break it. Hell, I didn't know he broke it.
He threw 4 touchdown
passes. Did he throw a bunch of wide receiver screens?
I didn't watch much of that game, but they were winning, and Denver made this miraculous comeback, and Fields had a drop 6 fumble that got taken back to the house. And again, Chicago is they're cursed. They're not, and they're on Sunday Night Football or Monday Night Football or something next week. I don't know who the hell. Maybe I'm wrong about that, but the Chicago Bears are off. They're going to get the number 1 pick, and if they don't tank it and get Caleb Williams, then
what if Lincoln Riley becomes their head coach?
Right, and brings Caleb Williams, and the only way that would happen is if they had the first pick, because
they got the second pick as well.
So hopefully, they traded away that first pick this year. I don't know what they got for it, but the Bears are just. I'm sorry, they play on Thursday night on Amazon. So I likely will miss that game against the Washington team.
All right. Brandon says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law.
That's so disappointing.
He goes, why does Billy try to beat Kentucky by trying to beat Kentucky? Florida's known for skill players and speed. Get guys in space and let them do work. It's almost like our game plan. That went away. No, look, here's the thing. Everybody in the SEC has speed now. Kentucky's a very physical. They pride themselves on that. But that's what Billy's philosophy is line of scrimmage, being physical. The other team just better than we were. I was shocked. I was very disappointed. I don't know what other adjectives to use, but very, very
looking forward, I would think Vanderbilt is a win for sure. And then what is it? South Carolina.
South Carolina is not a very good team.
No,
but who knows? You got to go on the road. We've only won one game under Billy Napier on the road.
Yeah. It's a road game. That's right. It's a road game. I don't know who Carolina plays before they play the Gators. So I can look that up. But the point is that Florida's got to win a game on the road one of these days. They have to, right? And, South Carolina's those games. Remember, we talked about 4 games: Kentucky, South Carolina, Missouri, and Arkansas. I think
Chris from Mayaka says Doring might be right for once about Kentucky. I don't think he was real high on Kentucky this year, though. The last 2 years, he's picked them to win the East.
I thought he did. I thought he picked them to win something like 10 or 11 games this year, Kentucky. No?
Well, he had them picking to win the East the last 2 years.
Okay. They'll have to beat Georgia. They haven't beaten Georgia yet. So it's all comes down. But I think Georgia is beatable. So, it's just kind of like when Alabama got done with their run. Everybody's saying, Alabama's not as good. Alabama's not as good. That happens over time. It has to happen. You lose players. There's turnover and so forth. And you become a younger team, a different team. And that's Georgia. Brock Bowers saved their bacon. He flat out did. And that's good. Look, we got a great slate coming up this weekend. Great slate of football. But for the Fighting Gators, they have to play Vandy. And I think South Carolina is off. So they're going to have an open date to prepare for Florida. And then they'll get Florida at home. That's not necessarily going to be as easy as it looks on paper, dude. You're giving them a week off to heal up and game plan for the Gators at home, while Florida is out there running around with Vanderbilt, for God's sakes. I don't know. Thank God it's Vanderbilt.
Jeff on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says Stoops said they adjusted their gap blocking schemes. Is that the reason we weren't in position to make stops in the first half? No, I mean they blocked us. I mean, they run the zone play, but they also run a lot of gap scheme, which we don't run any gap scheme. I don't think. I wish we did. I've always thought that's easier blocking than zone, but some linemen prefer zone blocking. Anyway, let's get to JC. You got anything else before we get you out of here? We're going to go to Edgar Thompson.
Well, no, it's all good. I mean, it's a tough weekend for Gator fans. Don't lose hope. Listen, the goal was 8 wins. In my mind, that is still attainable. But you got to play better on the road, and you got to be more physical. And certainly this weekend, I would like to see them not beat Vandy by the score of 22-13. Okay, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see 4 field goals. I would
like to see us. If it was me and I had my,
I don't want to see 4 field goals.
I would love to see us line up the first series with Andy Jean, Aiden Mizell, Ricky Pearsall, and Caleb Douglas has got a leg issue. He's out for a long time.
He's out. Okay.
Just give me one other. I don't care who the other receiver is. Give me 4 wides.
Yeah.
And let's go play ball. So,
when is Wilson coming back? Anybody talk about that?
He was supposed to be starting in this game. He was suited up, but maybe there was a decoy. I don't know.
Ask Edgar that, and then put Wilson as the 4th wide receiver.
Well, that would be my 4th, and we'd go play football, and we'd go fast. And then if we go 3 and out with 3 straight incompletions, I'm going to stand up and go.
He'll be the only one, but that's okay.
I think, people probably would be booing, but I don't care.
Yeah. All right. Good luck, man. We'll see you Wednesday.
All right. That's JC. Join us on the Titan More Hotline. I'm going to take a quick timeout. We come back. We'll be joined by Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. You're watching and listening to PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. We'll be right back. We want to take this moment to thank our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Our premium sponsors are Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, the only official injury and accident law attorneys of the Florida Gators. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Campus USA, put some star power to work in your financial life with Campus USA Credit Union. Dave & Buster's, eat, drink, play, watch. Our gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Silverback Concrete, Ruse Ogre State Farm Insurance, Radware, F45, Quality Plumbing. Our touchdown sponsors are Adams Ribs, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Okido America, Style Cuts, Ironwood Golf Course, Big Mills Cheesesteak, McDonald's of Gainesville, 84 Lumber, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Silver Q Billiards and Sports Bar. If you're interested in promoting your business on the show, call Freddie at 352-284-3733. If you like what we're doing here, make sure to follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Is your bank dropping the ball, not playing with heart or skill? Then you need to check out the scouting report on Campus USA Credit Union. That's a 5-star recruit if I've ever seen one. Campus has it all, like great rates and products, friendly service, and smart game plans for you and your money. So why not put some star power in your financial life? Visit campuscu.com or any campus service center today.
Honey, can I recruit you to take the garbage out?
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Silverback Concrete's a family-led team of heavy concrete specialists that build commercial structures with unrivaled quality. Silverback Concrete, you stand on it, we stand by it. Let's head to the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, and we're joined by a good friend of the program, Edgar Thompson from the Orlando Sentinel. How you doing, Edgar?
Good, Shane. Running on fumes a little bit.
Yeah. We got a lot to talk about. I got to get to this.
Let's do it.
This Facebook Live, Kenny, brought to you by Meldon Law. He says, Napier's play calling is kind of like my wife cooking spaghetti every night for 2 years. I love her, but she needs to find something else to put on the menu. I thought that was kind of funny.
It's very appropriate, especially considering the Ryder Cup was in Italy.
Yes.
I'm not sure which team was worse.
Yeah, what was worse? Our performance over in Italy or in Lexington, Kentucky? About equivalent, huh?
It's neck and neck, and the coaching was both neck and neck as well. Plus the messaging afterwards, it was incredible. Zach Johnson, the things he talks about, it's very Billy Napier-ish about, the effort and the caring and all this stuff. And it's like, that's all great, man. I didn't think I saw a lot of effort the other day, honestly, but that's a whole nother thing. I mean, you talk about a defensive cowering. They weren't physical at all.
No.
I'm serious, Shane. I was talking to someone yesterday. I'm trying to go through in my mind. I've covered a lot of Gator football over the years. 2017 Georgia was an absolute physical beating like you've just not seen. Worst physical beating I've seen the Gators ever take. 2005 Alabama was like that too. They were just knocking the Gators around that game. D'Amico, Ryans, Roland Harper, Freddie Roach, he was just killing Florida. Every time they caught the ball, they paid. The other day for a while, that game was like that. They were just waylaying guys. And it's so predictable offensively, you're going to get guys killed. I mean, they're throwing these like passes out in the flat. Jonathan Odom, that hit, Boardingham. I mean, these guys are just getting flattened. It looked like Kingsley looked like he was getting out of a car wreck on most plays. He's pulling himself out of like a pile and off the ground. They just got manhandled. And Billy was very upset because that is the way he wants to attack a team. He wants to be the aggressor in the physical team. And he said, we've gotten beaten here before and I'm beaten up like that.
All right, we got a couple of a bunch of texts and Facebook Lives and YouTubes here. I'm gonna kind of put them all together.
Sure.
So listen to these, Edgar. Chris on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plum, says, Edgar, how did you feel about Billy's comment regarding his play calling? Chris from Mayaka says, Edgar, when will the knives come out on Napier in his press conference? He did seem somber, near tears at points on Saturday, but at some point, play calling has to be questioned.
I mean, I don't know if he was bordering on tears. We tried to ask him about the play calling. Did you listen to the press conference?
I don't listen to any of that stuff.
Yeah, I asked him. I followed up on Jacob Rudner's question 24/7 about the tempo. Like they just weren't playing with tempo when the game was like still a puncher's chance there, that it just wasn't, they weren't playing quickly enough. And when they had a chance to still cut it to like 30-21 and give himself maybe some sort of miracle. And I followed up and just asked him about criticism of play calling and what does he think of that? And that I don't study it enough. I don't understand it well enough to say. And he's like, well, what's the question? I said, well, it's 3rd and 9. You run and then you throw short of the chains or something I talked about with someone at halftime. They're in man coverage and they're playing 8-9 in the box. And why aren't you attacking in that situation on one-on-one matchups? And he didn't really go there. Here's the bottom line on all of it. Something has to change. And not this offseason, like now. There's got to be something that you can't overhaul the whole thing, but you got to do something different at this point, differently. It's like you said, it's spaghetti every night.
Yeah, I mean, play calling, it's, like the 3rd and 14 and 15s running the football, I have no problem because you really don't, you may have 2 or 3 plays on your call sheet for that down and distance. You don't expect to be 3rd and 15 or 3rd and 18s. And if you throw it down the field, it's probably going to be into serious traffic. But like Boardingham needs to know if it's 3rd and 5 or 3rd and 4, and I have a shallow cross, I have to run it a yard deeper than maybe it says in my playbook. That's just common sense. And I don't know if that has resonated with some of these young players. This is an interesting text here on the Titan More text line. It Says QB, how does this make any business sense for a coach with Billy's resume? 52 million over 7 years, 7.4 million per year, 85% buyout clause, fifth highest in the SEC, 11th among all FBS coaches, more than triple his previous salary. And it would still cost over 25 million if even we thought about firing him after next season. I can't believe UF is negotiating contracts like that. I think if you're a major Power 5 school, that's what these agents do. You have no choice. Right, Edgar?
Well, Dan was a flat 12, and that's why they could get out of it. And that flat 12 was as a result of the poor contracts written for Muschamp and McElwain. If McElwain hadn't said the death threats thing, he was going to walk away with almost 13. He ended up walking away with 7-9, I think. They've spent $36 million on football coaches that weren't coaching now, the last 3. And they going down that path again, blowing it up again, just changing course again. It looks bad. There is a way out of this, I believe, but are they going to take it? Graham Mertz had a line the other day that there's 2 ways to go right now, and he knows the way he's going, and he's going to bring the team behind him, which is continue to stay the course, and all that, and not finger point and all these kinds of things. Well, Billy needs to make a choice too, which way he's going to go. I'm not saying you can blow it up right now, but maybe shifting some philosophy, shifting perhaps some responsibilities, or giving some help on special teams. I mean, the fact that special teams cost them like that again, my Lord. They get a penalty, the 6th of the year. That was their 4th punt return special teams penalty. Okay, yeah. We're in week 5. And then the first play is a 75-yard touchdown. It's like, that was the gut punch of the game. It's like you give them the ball back and then they do that. Here's what I'm saying is the path forward has to be a shift in philosophy. This is just my opinion, a shift in philosophy from Billy and some hiring. Bring in someone with a more sophisticated passing offense. I understand that you want to play like Mark Stoops' teams. Mark Stoops, they also have some other stuff in the arsenal. Liam Cohen is a good offensive coordinator. They didn't throw the ball well at all the other day.
Oh, they're terrible.
But they have thrown the ball with some effectiveness. That quarterback is inaccurate, but they have good receivers. I don't know. I don't know the answer. That's not for me. I mean, Billy Napier's expense account is 3 times my salary. So, I mean, this is like the world we live in. Okay. These guys make enormous amounts of money. It's on him to figure it out. It's on Scott Strickland to figure it out, but they better figure it out because what they're doing is not working. They're 1-7 on the road right now. Okay. They're 9-9. I'm looking around. There are people doing stuff. Brett Venables last year was like, oh my God, this isn't working out. Well, he's 5-0 right now, going in the Red River Shootout. Mike Elko at Duke, he's in year 2. The guy at Washington State's in year 2. They beat Oregon State. Oregon State looks really good.
But having all those teams you just mentioned, and I agree 100% with you. You know what they're doing? They're aggressive. They're aggressive, and let their quarterback go play. Not that they have like first-round draft picks or Heisman Trophy winners. In today's world, you have to be aggressive and throw the football. I don't care if we had Adrian Peterson and Emmitt Smith in the backfield at the same time, and our 2 running backs are great. But if you are aggressive and attack, it's only going to help your running game. And I know the line ain't great, but you can mask different areas. If we're going to throw the ball down the field, we can keep the tight end in. There's no reason to run these tight ends out on routes a lot of times. If you want to go fast, you put 4 wides in and let's go. Put our 4 fastest dudes go play ball. If we go 3 and out, and we punt, I don't care. At least we're trying to put pressure on the defense.
Well, you and I are in agreement. I'm saying that get someone in here with a passing philosophy and get out of the way. And that's the thing, is Billy going to hire people that he has familiarity with, who's going to come in and work within his system? That's not the way to go, I don't think.
Well, Yeah, and the problem is none of this is going to happen this year because there's nobody
You
other
can't
than
do it this year, but you gotta start plotting it now. Look, you got to play the long game. I'll tell you this, you mentioned Trevor Etienne. You better get Trevor Etienne pretty interested in what's going on offense, or you're going to see Trevor Etienne hitting the portal.
which I get, but Edgar, my point is I cannot vouch or cannot support turning around, handing the ball to number 7 3 straight times because we're going to be punting. That's how I believe in it. He's a great playmaker, but you can't the way people play us, there is no way to block the front. No way.
That's not really my point, is getting people some hope, giving recruits, hey, we're shifting. Don't worry. ETN, we're shifting. Get him involved in we talked about splitting him out a little bit. They do it a little bit. They had him wildcat and then they commit a penalty.
Well, that whole damn thing, that play there, I am so against in that situation because it 3rd or 4th and 1.
It was
4th and 1.
Yeah,
it was 4th and 1, and you're putting a guy in a loud crowd noise with a different cadence or a different clap, and then you got a motion come. Too much crap can happen. You know that I love it on like 3rd and short.
I'm not saying you do it on 4th and 1. I just think Etienne's a guy I'd be worrying about right now. He can't be happy with what's going on offense. And
I agree.
When these kids aren't happy, look, his brother's criticizing Billy Napier more than any of us. I mean, he's like tweeting every game. It's just like, I'm just saying there's a lot going on.
His brother ain't getting the ball a whole lot in Jacksonville either. Look, everybody wants the ball. But again,
Trevor Etienne is a special guy. When he touches it, he is so much. It's just different to watch him.
I agree, but we need to be a pass first offense.
I'm fine with that.
To have success.
He's involved in the passing game.
I mean, that's just where I am with that.
Shane, they have 3 touchdowns in 2 road games. They've not scored 57-25. They have scored 3 touchdowns on Kentucky the last 2 games. I wrote this the other day. This is my game story. They used to beat Kentucky's doors off. Now, Mark Stoops has done a phenomenal job there. Spurrier scored like 50 on them like 5 times, 73, 65. Urban's had 63 with the national title team. Kentucky was just like, they just blow them off the field. Now Kentucky's just owning Florida.
They're better than us. Speaking of that, Alan on the Titan of our text line from Atlanta says, prior to 1990, Gator fans were always saying, wait till next year. Spurrier changed all that. By the way, comparisons to Kentucky make me want to puke. Just give Billy time like Kentucky gave Stoops. How pathetic is that? That Kentucky is perceived to doing better things than you. I was talking to JC before. I personally feel Florida is going to be how Florida was before pre-Spurrier and Urban. You got about 21 years of dominant football, the 84-85 teams, all of Spurrier's teams and Urban's teams. Other than that, in the 100-something years of Florida football, they've been 7 wins, 6 wins, 8 wins on a good year. I think it's hard for me to swallow, but I think that's where we are today. I don't know what's going to change.
You don't pay $7 million for that.
Well, everybody in the SEC pays $7 million. That's the thing.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
Look, it's unacceptable, Shane. Period. That's all I'll say.
I
don't want to start getting into outrage. It's unacceptable.
It's unacceptable. But my point is,
you can't no-show like that. If you lose a game, fine. They no-showed 33-14 to Kentucky. That's the largest deficit to Kentucky since 1979.
I agree, but what my point of the story is, you've only had about 21 years of really dominant football in the history of the school.
Okay, well,
I'm just saying.
I hear you. You're going to put $400 to $600 million into a stadium and all this stuff, and you got Oklahoma. Hey, look, the Red River Shootout this week. I was listening yesterday. Greg Sankey is going to be at that game. You know why? Because you're getting Oklahoma and Texas coming in next year. Oklahoma is always good in football. I mean, they had a couple years, John Blake, and some bad years. And Texas looks like it's getting it going with Steve Sarkisian. So bring in 2 more programs that are ahead of Florida. I mean, it's not good, man. And
no, that's why I said we're going to be back. It's basically pre-Spurrier when we win 6 or 7 or 8 games, and that's who you are.
well, who's accepting that? That's listening to this show.
I'm not accepting it. I'm just stating facts.
Well, I get it.
The facts are.
Okay.
Tide says, sorry, Shane, the Great Wall of Florida begs. I said the 84 and 85 teams were very good. The other 80 teams, I believe, were 6, 7, 8 win teams. I could be wrong. Real quick, this one says,
but I don't get your point. You're saying everybody's supposed to just like, okay, well, this is where we're at.
I think, but no, my point is everybody wants to go back to what Coach Spurrier did, what Urban did. Okay.
That ain't happening.
That's my point.
Okay, but what are you saying? People need to like recalibrate their expectations that, going and getting.
I think too many people are living in that generation, in that year, those years. Look, I want us to win more than anybody, but I try to be realistic. Do I want us to get back to there? Yeah, I don't know what it's going to take. I do know I would much rather watch us lose a football game 44-35 than get our brains beat in trying to run against a damn wall.
Yeah.
And not let our playmakers have a chance to make a play. That's what I'm just trying to say.
Okay. If that's what you're saying, fine. I'm just saying what we saw Saturday was completely unacceptable. Billy doesn't think it was acceptable. And in fairness to Billy was very contrite and fell on the sword and said, this is not acceptable, basically. And this is not how we want to play football. He was upset. And credit to him for falling on the sword to the degree he did. We did try to ask about the offense. I'm sure it's going to be more of the same today. And in terms of like the question, knives coming out, I mean, there's a long game here for all of us involved, Billy trying to build, but us too, we can't just destroy relationships going in there and just being jerks to this guy. And it's just not how I operate, but he does need specifically to answer some of the questions. There needs to be more specifics. There's a lot of vagaries. He said something about we need to look at things from an operational standpoint or something. Okay, what does that mean? Does that mean you're going to make some changes? Does that mean, what is he talking about? I mean, he just says.
I don't know. We have a bunch of people talking about his lack of emotion. I have no problem with Billy's emotion on the sideline. I have no problem. Some guys are emotional, some aren't. You can't be who you aren't. This says, Edgar's spot on. This is on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing. Get an OC hired immediately. There are folks out there available right now. You can't hire somebody off the street to come in and call plays right now. That's not possible.
You can't restructure the whole offense.
No.
But you and I talked about this the other day. Tell me if I'm crazy here because we're running out of time. But can you just like put more pieces out on the field and like, can you put Etienne and Johnson out there together? Can you?
Yeah, you can. But again, I want people. I want speed. I want to. Okay, my ideal. Everybody wants Trevor in the game. Okay, put him in the tailback position. Then put me 4 of our fastest dudes that can catch the football, and let's go.
Well, that's where I was going. You put Andy Jean maybe in there. I
want Jean, Mizell, Wilson if he's healthy, and Pearsall. I don't want anybody else on the field until they're tired.
Douglas being hurt.
Right.
He's nice.
But give me those 4 guys and let's go play fast.
I agree.
I promise you it will open up the running game.
If you just take a few shots, you complete one of them. If he'd hit that Caleb Douglas play, which he was pretty off on that throw.
Well, Caleb Douglas ran a post and he threw it as a go route. So it was a miscommunication there. Okay. But he hit a deep ball to Ricky on a crosser. He gave Caleb a shot down the field.
If they'd hit that,
do that more often.
If they'd hit that one, the game could have been quite different because Kentucky
they still blocked us pretty well regardless.
They would have had to defend Florida differently. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. All right, Edgar, good stuff as always. Let them know how they follow all your work on Twitter.
OS Gators. I tell you, we need to be doing longer than this because it goes fast.
Nat says, a Facebook Live brought to you by Melanie says, we did put more pieces on the field, 13 at one point.
Unbelievable.
That's unbelievable. So, all right, Edgar, good stuff as always, buddy. I appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks for having me as always. Nice seeing you.
That's Edgar Thompson and JC both join us on the Titan Memorial Hotline, and we appreciate them taking the time to join our program today. Let me get one more read before we get out of here, if I can find it. Ruse Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right for the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call at 352-240-1779. That's what I would do. I would go Gene, Mizell, Wilson, and Ricky Pearsall, Trevor Etienne with Montrell filling in, and let's go play. Fast as we can go. If we go 3 and out, I don't care. So there you go. Enjoy your day, folks. Take care. We'll see you tomorrow.